Hello world, I'm Colleen and welcome to my glamorous life. If you don't know who I am, I'm that almost 50-year-old mom with 3 teenagers here to give you some helpful tips, tricks, and honest reviews. And on Wednesdays, we do weird history and makeup. So if that sounds like something you're into, do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below and hit the little bell icon. Leave me a like, let me know you're there. I appreciate it. All right, so this week I have had a week. You know, last week it took me forever to film the video on Sarah Winchester. 4 tries, 4. Okay. This weekend I figured out what my problem was. I've been sick. It's not COVID, but my husband and I both came down with upper respiratory infections. He ended up with walking pneumonia, and so we've both been on antibiotics all weekend. So needless to say, I look a little worse for wear. But I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to delve into a little bit of the weird history of plagues and epidemics. I mean, after all, we're in the middle of one right now. We may as well look into it, huh? So let's get to it. Wow, okay. But first, coffee. This is not sponsored by Starbucks, but I should be. I spend enough there. Okay, so plagues. Epidemics, pandemics, all these things, we've had them throughout history. I mean, for all we know, the dinosaurs died of a plague. It might have been known as an asteroid, but you know, who knows? All of these things have regulated our population over the years, some through natural means, some through artificial means. But what are they? Where do they come from? We're not even sure where the current plague came from. We know, or we think we know, that COVID-2, this new strain that we're fighting right now, that's had us all locked up for a year now. We know that it came from China, or we think it did, from Wuhan. But where did it come from? A monkey, or a food market? Nobody's positive where this came from. And that's the thing about pandemics, is these bugs kind of infiltrate society and they start spreading. And I'm just talking. Not sponsored. Should be. Starbucks, you hear me? You should sponsor me. Okay, so let's get started talking about some of our plagues. I'm going to be playing with the Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette because I figure, well, my beauty got killed by this plague, or whatever it is I've got right now. So let's get to it here. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to start off with the color Courtney, which is this kind of tan color up here. And we're going to start talking about the dancing epidemic of 1518. Okay. The dancing epidemic. This was like one of the most famous epidemics in history. Okay. It was in Strasbourg, which is, I think, Austria. Now, I'm not sure. I'd have to look on a map because I'm horrible at geography anymore. Borders have changed so much, even since I was a kid. All right. So it started by one woman, this Mrs. Trophea. She, according to numerous accounts, just started dancing uncontrollably in the streets without the ability to stop. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't dance unless I want to. So what makes you dance? I mean, she have ants in her pants? I don't know. But instead of being like this isolated incident where it was just this one person, it started affecting the behavior of other people. Men, women, and children. They just started dancing compulsively around the region, and they wouldn't stop. Bizarrely, this isn't the first time there was a dancing plague. I mean, there are several of them going back to like 1370 something. Spreading from Italy to Luxembourg. And you know, there's been various explanations as to what caused this dancing plague, such as ergot poisoning, which is a fungus that grows on rye, which is one of the most common grains. There's the word. You get old, you lose your mind. Rye was one of the most common grains in bread at the time, and ergot will grow on grain when it gets warm and damp. So if you have rain and then summer, and a lot of this happened during the summerish, you know, when it was kind of warm and damp. And ergot is actually related to LSD. So were these people tripping? Who knows? But they're not sure. The other thing was, you know, mass hysteria, that just one person started doing it, so everybody started doing it. I'm going to go in with color Vanity to kind of deepen up my outer corner here just a little bit. Nobody's positive, honestly, what caused it, which is, it just makes it all the more weird. Anyhow, so that's one of these many plagues. Then there is the cat and nun plague. And this one, it kind of happened in the 15th century, okay? And just some very odd things happen with this. You know, the biggest explanation is like demonic possession and what have you. And, you know, nobody's positive. Basically, this group of nuns, there was one working in this convent in France, and she started meowing like a cat for no reason. And then other nuns started following suit. And then all the nuns were meowing together for several days, and they didn't know what it was. It's been attributed to basically hysteria. I'm going to use confession here just to kind of deepen this up a little here. There we go. I don't know why I'm sticking to brown. This got such pretty colors on it. I think I'm going to use that blue or the pink. I don't know. Let me see. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in with Violence, which is the purple here, and I'm going to go over that Vanity that I did in the outer corner. Because I don't know. When I don't feel good, I just revert back to browns, which is like horrible. Anyhow, so they blamed this cat and nun thing on demonic possession or mass hysteria. Here again, they didn't know, you know. And then you've got, oh, this one was good. Let's see if I can say it. Tanganyika, the Tanganyika laughing epidemic of 1962. Can you imagine just laughing just for no reason? I do it all the time in my videos, especially the last one when I did all those hacks. Oh my God. But this was in 1962 in Tanganyika. It got so stressed, the whole society got so stressed that it started with these three schoolgirls who just got totally hysterical. And then I'm going to take, I keep bouncing back and forth, I know. I'm going to take Star Power, the pink one. I'm going to use these colors today. I just have to. Ooh, look at that. And I'm just going to tap that in right here, just to kind of brighten up my eyelid. Ooh, wow. Man, okay, say what you will, but the guy does some decent stuff. I'm just going to blend out the edges a little. Anyhow, this one was pretty much attributed to mass hysteria, but it started with these three schoolgirls just seized with fits of laughter and weeping and absolutely ridiculous. And it ended up at one point affecting the community of like 1,400 people, all laughing at once hysterically. I mean, when you think about it, you know, pretty high stress situation, maybe. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, what causes people to just start laughing and laughing and laughing without rhyme or reason? You know, I completely forgot to prime my eyelids, but okay, we'll live. That's all right. Okay, so far these are, we've been talking about plagues that are kind of mass hysteria, but let's get into the bugs, okay? Like, after all, we all know and have all heard of, and if you haven't, you've been living under a rock somewhere, about the bubonic plague. Okay. Right? You've heard of it. Black Death. All right, we're going to take expensive and kind of play a little bit more here. Ooh. Look at that color. Love it. All right, we're going to bring that in here just because. Ooh, that's kind of nifty. Okay. Anyhow, where was I? Oh yeah, the Black Death. So nobody knew what caused this thing to start with when it hit. You had people who were perfectly healthy in the morning suddenly developing these horrific pustules and bleeding and literally turning black and just dying like the same day. Like they were healthy in the morning and by dinner they were dead. Coffee. So the current theory, which seems to have played out based on archaeological and forensic evidence, is that this was a plague that was brought from the east by rats, the white pestis bacteria that caused it. Okay, where am I at? What am I doing? Oh yeah, we're gonna highlight just a little bit. I think I'm gonna combine this China white and rich bitch, I think, just a little bit for a highlight up here. This is very bruise-like, but you know what? I'm digging on it. I like it. Let me make sure I get both sides about the same here. I don't know why I do my makeup while I do this, because it's like I talk and I'm either talking about the thing and not doing my makeup, or I'm doing my makeup and I'm not talking about the thing. Okay, so the white pestis is what they've determined that a lot of these people had that passed away, right? And this killed like over half the population of Europe, right? And that was in the 14th century, so we're talking 1300s. And then you have the Black Death came back like with a vengeance over the next several centuries, up through the 15th century in England, which is when they started actually quarantining people. So if you thought quarantine was something new, just cleaning up the bottom here. You can love him, hate him, whatever. Godsend. This is the concealer, Jeffree Star Concealer in C6. I'm just going to hide the worst sins and try and make it look decent today. Anyhow, okay. So this thing, England finally came up with quarantine rules, which helped do away with it. They finally figured out that they needed to start cleaning things up a little bit, that they needed to keep people shut up in their homes so they weren't interacting. So the Great Plague in London of 1665 was the last one there. So you see, now quarantine works. I don't care what anybody says. It does work. It takes a while, but it does work. Now, the worst killer by far was smallpox. And, if you're my age, you have this cute little scar on your arm. I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah, right there. Where they stabbed you with a little crown thing that was full of smallpox vaccine. People who are a few years younger probably have never seen that scar in their life on anybody their age, because we actually managed to pretty much wipe out smallpox for a while. We've had a few outbreaks here and there from people who aren't vaccinated and what have you, but smallpox used to be devastating, because if it didn't kill you, it maimed you. You would end up with just horrible scarring, which started the whole craze of wearing like patch moles and the heavy lead makeup. Queen Elizabeth I, her heavy lead makeup continued to get heavier and heavier because she actually contracted smallpox and it damaged her face, and she wanted to hide the effects. So she just kept piling on more and more of this poisonous makeup. And it took a long time. They actually came up with a vaccine, Edward Jenner, in the 18th century. So 1700s. Okay, not that recent, if you will. I mean, it's not that long ago, historically speaking, but a lot longer back than I thought it was. He noticed that the milkmaids were not catching smallpox because they were catching cowpox, which is a similar virus that causes it. And he reasoned that the reason that they didn't get it was that they had immunities to this cowpox that prevented the smallpox. So he actually inoculated his gardener's 9-year-old son. Inoculated? Did I just say inoculated? Inoculated. Oh, hello. I need more caffeine. With cowpox. And then it deliberately exposed him to smallpox. Can you imagine being a parent saying, yeah, go ahead, expose my kid to smallpox. We'll see what happens. I would not have been thrilled with this myself as a mom. But he did it. I don't know if his gardener was like, paid or anything. Hey, well, what happens if my son dies? I don't know. But it worked. The kid was exposed to smallpox. It did not affect him. And it worked. So then he was trying to convince people. In 1801, he wrote that the annihilation of smallpox, the most dreadful scourge of the human species, must be the final result of this practice. Basically, inoculations, vaccinations, the first vaccinations. Catherine the Great of Russia actually had herself vaccinated to try and convince her people to become vaccinated to do away with this disease. And because he came up with this and they finally convinced people, it was almost completely eradicated as of 1980. I mean, it took a long time. I mean, let's face it, we still have the flu. We have flu vaccines, but we still have the flu because it continues to change. Then there's cholera. Okay, there's another epidemic that caused by bacteria, bugs, what have you. Let's see if I can actually get myself any kind of color today. Cholera has been pretty much eradicated in most first world countries. In Victorian England, they had an outbreak and they found it was linked to the drinking water. And what they found is that this one area where cholera was really, really bad, they were getting their water right next to the cesspool. And if you don't know what a cesspool is, think about having your toilet back up. Okay. It's basically where all their excrement and detritus and what have you ended up. And what was happening is this bacteria was breeding in these cesspools, and then they were going and getting their water right down the way. So it was contaminated. Prince Albert, actually Queen Victoria's husband, was actually instrumental in them changing the way they handled the sewer system in London. He helped create the sewer system in London and in Victorian England that helped eliminate the issue with cholera. Typically, third world countries is where you'll find it now, again, because the sewage is near the drinking water. Now we get to one a little closer to home, the 1918 Spanish flu epidemic. Now, it's hard to believe, but we didn't have antibiotics at the beginning of the 20th century. We're going to use the Patrick TA blush that came with my Glam X bag this month, and this is called She's Adorable. It's this cute little peach. It's got a little bit of reflex to it. Not too much shimmer, but enough to make it look nice. Okay, so the 1918 Spanish flu. It was only nicknamed the Spanish flu because Spain's was the most publicized outbreak. It actually probably started somewhere else. In fact, it probably started in the US, is the theory, I think. Yeah. But we had about 500 million people, approximately a third of the world's population, die due to this flu. And it wasn't so much the flu itself, because anybody that's had the flu knows it's basically like a really bad head cold. You get congested and achy and miserable and fever. Well, the problem with this flu is that, kind of like COVID, it was really virulent. So it created a, words escape me. It created pneumonia very, very easily. And in 1918, there was no penicillin. There was no erythromycin, no antibiotics. Okay. So if you got pneumonia, your only hope was that your body was able to fight it off yourself. Now, needless to say, that didn't really happen. Let's see. I think I'm going to underline my eyes with expensive, with that teal blue there, I think. Yeah, that I used in the quarter, because I kind of like this. This is kind of a nifty little color combination. I'm going to take that right into that corner and back around to where it is. Ooh, I like that. That kind of makes me look a little weak. All right. So you would get sick, and you had, here again, we didn't really have much in the way of modern medicine. They were just barely getting into disinfection. And here you've got all these men and some women, but mostly men, traveling between the United States and Europe for World War I. And this stuff just ran rampant around the world. So they were really limited to disinfecting, personal hygiene, quarantine. You think wearing masks is something new? Mm-mm. People were walking around with masks on to try and prevent acquiring this flu, because this particular strain of flu was so bad and there were no cures. Okay, I'm going to take I'm going to take a quick pause and I'm going to use the Kiss Lash Glue Liner to put my eyelashes on with, and I'll be right back. All right, I thought I'd see if I could show you how this eyeliner works. We'll see how well I can do here. Basically, you put it on just like normal eyeliner, and then move my mirror over just a little bit so you can see. And then your eyelashes stick to the eyeliner. You don't have to futz around waiting for stuff to dry or waiting for, trying to get things positioned and then it doesn't position. It just sticks right to the eyeliner. So I think that's absolutely awesome. New favorite of mine. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah. So we were talking about the Spanish flu and everything. Now, one of the things that you got to realize is that there's one common thread in all of these epidemics, pandemics, plagues, and that is that people thought it was God's revenge, if you will. If I can get it open, I'm going to be using the Jeffree Star Celebrity Skin Lip Liner. Real quick here. The common assumption back in the ancient world, if you will, even a few 500 years ago, was that if you were ill or if you caught a disease, then you had done something to bring it on yourself. It's like in the 80s with AIDS, everybody says, oh, they're getting sick because they're homosexual, but it wasn't just homosexuals who are getting sick. Just like they said it was the poor and the dirty who were getting the plague. Well, there were wealthy people, well-to-do people getting it, and they were getting sick too. So what was their excuse? Even today, we've got people saying, oh, well, if you got COVID, it's your own fault. It's God's retribution, or that it's a conspiracy. There were people that thought the Spanish flu was a conspiracy too, that it didn't really exist and it wasn't an issue until it really hit. Now with COVID, of course, we've got people saying, well, it doesn't exist. I don't need to wear a mask, or it's this, that, or the... Don't get me started. It exists. It's there. It scared the heck out of me. That's for sure. But the thing of it is we still have other bugs going around too. So just because somebody coughs doesn't mean it's COVID. Okay. This is the Jeffree Star Velour lip. Yeah. Velour lip, in Family Jewels. It's quite a bit darker than the lip liner, but that's okay. So tell me, what do you think about all these plagues? And, have you heard of one I didn't mention that might be worth checking out later? I'm going to blot this so I can put some lip gloss over it right away. The thing I like about the Velour lip matte is that it doesn't dry the heck out of my lips. But I'm going to use Beaded Glass in the gloss. So, anyhow, that's our tale today of plagues and epidemics. I just kind of thought it was appropriate today since I'd been sick all weekend and I'm taking antibiotics now for this stupid bug. But tell me what you think. I don't know, this kind of came out cute. I I do these like odd color combinations sometimes. Like I did the blue and the pink with a little bit of purple in there, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I don't feel like I look quite so dead to the world anymore. What do you think? I'm gonna wear it. I like it. I really do. I like it. It's, yeah. Anyhow, okay, so that's it for today. Coming up, we've got some more reviews on Friday, and let's see. What am I going to do next week? What weird and amazing thing. Once again, and I say this every time, and I know that 85% of the people that watch my videos don't subscribe. So do me a favor, subscribe. Let me know you're watching. And if there's something that you want me to research or something that you want me to go through, if there's a makeup look you want to see or a makeup technique you want me to try, like all those weird hacks, put it in the comments. I don't know what you want to see if you don't put it in there. Okay? In the meantime, I'll see you on Friday. Ta-ta.